This is Ben Reinberg, and today I'm sitting with Brian Hamrick, and we're going to touch on how you can build your hard asset empire. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Rental Property Owner and Real Estate Investor Podcast, brought to you by the Rental Property Owners Association, where real estate investors have found success since 1968. I'm your host, Brian Hamrick from Hamrick Investment Group. This episode is sponsored by Green Property Management, managing everything from single-family homes to apartment complexes in the West Michigan area. Find out more at greenpropertymgt.com. And RCB and Associates, helping real estate investors and small business owners navigate the complex world of health insurance and Medicare benefits at rcbassociatesllc.com. Hello and welcome to episode 491. Success in commercial real estate requires vision, persistence, and the ability to spot opportunities that others miss, especially during challenging market conditions. My guest today, Ben Reinberg, started building his commercial real estate empire at just 24 years old with nothing but shoe leather and hustle. As the founder and CEO of Alliance Consolidated Group, he now owns over $500 million in assets across the country, including medical, retail, industrial, and office properties. Today, we'll discuss how to identify good deals in commercial real estate, strategies for refinancing and negotiating in tough markets, and the mindset needed to stay positive and mentally flexible in a cutthroat industry. Ben, welcome to the show.
Well, cutthroat industry isn't said well enough. It is a cutthroat industry. It's a tough business, as I say to people. But Brian, thank you so much for having me on your show. I really appreciate it. I'm very grateful to be here and add value to you and your audience. And so appreciate the opportunity, and that's good to join you on Tuesday.
Why don't you tell our audience a little bit about yourself and who you are and how you got started investing in real estate?
As everyone knows, I'm from Chicago. You can hear it in the accent. I sit in our West Coast office, and I live in Newport Beach, California. That's where I sit. And my headquarters are in Chicago. That's also my home. And people know that's where most of my staff live and work, and all our resources. Well, we have offices around the country and people all over the United States that work at Alliance. For the past over 3 decades, I started this business when I was 23 years old. I got into commercial real estate. I'm also a CPA. First deal was an industrial building. Chicago is built on industrial and office and multifamily. And we've been buying assets ever since. We built over 12 million square feet of office and industrial. We then got into retail. As we've been through our first cycle, we sat with our investors. Our investors are credit investors and family offices from all over the world, Brian, that invest in Alliance's opportunities, funds, syndications, et cetera. We're strictly principals. We're not brokers. We manage our entire portfolio. We've done billions and billions in deals and transactions throughout the United States in our career. We've sold off a lot of properties. We've built them back up, and then we sell them, build them back up. So it's quite the process. And for us, we're fiduciaries of capital. And so we give investors a 7-star experience. We pay great returns. We have a 24% internal rate of return on medical. 20 years ago, my 3-decade career, we decided to get into medical. It was quite the challenge when we first started to get into it. We felt healthcare potentially could be socialized medicine. Human bodies never going out of style. We've been in medical as a leader for 20 plus years and have done extremely well. 24% internal rate of return average. And then on our entire portfolio, we average about 28% to our investors. So good track record, good team, 200 plus years of leadership team experience that's been with me for a long time outside of me. And that's basically who I am. And then I have this thing called the personal brand, and we talk about why it's important. We feel every CEO and founder in the world now needs a personal brand and why it's important. It helps me build my legacy. And then we've gotten into other things, Brian. I have a new TV show called I Own It. It's a spinoff of my podcast. You could still listen to it on all the podcast platforms. And then my new book, Hard Assets and Hard Money for Hard Times, is dropping towards the latter part of March, which I'm really excited. We just went our first book signing in Fort Lauderdale, and I spoke. And I'm really excited because the book is something of a labor of love. We've been working on it for about a year. And why it's important is I wanted to develop a blueprint for everyone because I felt older generations in commercial real estate wasn't really teaching about hard assets or the hard asset empire, how to build the hard asset empire. So I said, well, I'm going to change the paradigm and give back and create impact that no one's talking about. So what I did was I created a blueprint for people from anywhere getting started in business to billionaires can use it to basically, it's a place where you could generate, retain, and defend your wealth and even compound it. And so it gives you an outlet, a tool that you can put on the bookshelf. You'll be able to take it off at any point in time. And how do you amend it? How do you change it if you have to? It doesn't matter what age you are, where you come from, because we're always constantly building this hard asset empire. And so you need to understand at the end of the day where it is so everyone can know what it is. And that's really important. And so we did that. And then we're doing some things to change the business around and how things are done. And we're using the blockchain and we're using AI. And so it's exciting times at Alliance, and it's exciting times being in business. And so I'm 55 years old. I'm in the prime of my career. They say in commercial real estate, once you get in your 50s, you become in your prime. And they're absolutely right, because the experience matters. And, you touch on your show, how do you look at deals, how you get through deals? And a lot of it is experience. Commercial real estate is an experienced person's game. I talk about this frequently. You spend the first third of your career on your back. You spend the second third of your career on your feet and the last third on your stomach. And I'm on my stomach because you can navigate through any type of waters and challenges out there. And if you've been in real estate or invest in real estate, you'll know that you go through cycles and you go through different periods of time. And the ability to hold is always the key to real estate, especially commercial real estate. And so I talk about these things frequently to educate the public. And that's really what I'm doing with my legacy, is really, giving back and creating impact and helping.
I love the title of your book, Hard Assets for Hard Times. And I want to kind of dial into that, the meaning of that. By hard assets, I'm assuming you mean the different commercial type assets that you're investing in. And hard times, I guess that would be basically any time that people are investing it's always hard times and good times at the same time. But can you dive into that just a little bit more? Like, what are the hard times you see right now? And what are the hard assets that you're going after at this point in time?
Hard assets is more than just commercial real estate. And I educate that in the book. And you can go on benreinberg.com/book and you could pre-order it now. We've had thousands of people pre-order it because accountants and attorneys want to give it to their clients as a mechanism to build wealth. And so what it's about is hard assets could be just more than commercial real estate. It could be, your brand, IP you have. It could be oil and gas investments. It could be cryptocurrencies, which is what I do. It could be investing in technology and companies, mergers, acquisitions. Whatever you invest in a hard asset, that's what the hard asset empire consists of. What's really important is that we teach people to invest with smart money like Alliance or companies like ours, because what ends up happening, Brian, is that you really need to focus on your niche. So for example, Ben Reinberg's niche is commercial real estate. That's what I focus on with my capital and my company Alliance. That's part of my empire. That's the main foundation of it. But I spread out my empire and have different capstones and keystones and walls and foundations. We're building a fortress for people. That's what the blueprint is. And it's very methodical how it works. And it's very visual and people can follow along easily. I wanted to make it so anyone can pick up this book and understand it. And so hard assets and hard money for hard times. Well, hard money is talking about the money you need to continue to invest that's in a hard asset. And hard times talks about, what we've been through. Look at the past 4 years. We've been through heavy inflation. We've been through wars. We've been through uncertainty. We've been through lack of leadership. Whatever you want to call the last 4 years, it was out there existing, floating in this economy, where you go to the grocery store and you buy eggs where they were triple the price, or people were having trouble driving to work because of gasoline prices. Whatever you want to talk about, the list goes up. The lack of liquidity with lenders for small businesses to grow. The heart of this country is small businesses. So the last handful of years were really tough. And the book is perfect because how do you deal with these challenging times? It's through hard asset. And the reason why I talk about hard assets, and this is really important, I want everyone to understand, is that when we're in a world of uncertainty, like we're in, whether it's economic volatility, it could be inflation, it could be geopolitical instability like we're seeing out there, and lack of liquidity. When you make traditional investments, hard assets provide stability. whether stocks and bonds, commercial real estate, oil and gas, gold, silver, platinum, you name it. So stability, predictability, and long-term wealth is what I teach and what I'm into. And so that's how you build long-term wealth. And why does it work? Well, number one, I can prove it because of my career. And all my colleagues that we did our analyzing with and research with basically mirrored exactly what I said as well. And so when you look at it, Brian, and you look at, the intrigue of hard assets, it's really about creating multi-generational wealth. It's about looking at through the test of time. It's the old adage, the wealth formula. Every major family that built wealth are using hard assets. It's always happened that way. And being from Chicago, whether it's the Crown family, the Pritzkers, the list goes on, that's how they build their empires, through hard assets. And so what that does is it produces cash flow, and it allows you to provide safety and security in your life. And so I wanted to take a step back and say, well, how do you give back from everything I've learned? Well, how you do that is give that formula, give that blueprint of how do you build a hard asset empire? How do you create that security and that safety you need when there's hard times going on? Because like I said, we go through cycles. We go through different economic cycles. We go through different government administrations, different laws and ordinances in different communities. And so in order to battle all this through the test of time, hard assets has always prevailed, and they always will. And that's what I love about what I do. I mean, in real estate, Brian, we get great tax benefits. So, in the book, not only am I talking about hard assets, I'm talking about the different assets you can invest in, but I also touch on who do you have to surround yourself as a team to build your hard asset empire. And I tell everyone, I'm very candid about this. It doesn't happen overnight. You don't snap your fingers and happen. It's time. You got to invest the time. You got to manage it. You got to watch it. You got to invest in resources. You have to do asset protection, estate planning. You get to a point in your career. So I talk about all these factors you have to consider in a succession plan. What happens when you have kids or you don't have kids and you want to move on? What happens when you move off this earth? What happens and how do you deal with that? So we touch on all this. It was really important to me to be able to develop this blueprint. And this blueprint really shows why hard assets manage. And so I want to empower independence. And that's what this book is about.
How do you identify the hard assets that are worth investing in right now? How do you know what a good deal is? And in these hard times, how do you go after that and take it down?
Number one is I have a great work ethic. So I am constantly networking, talking to people. I'm an avid reader. I learn and grow. And I'm not always right, but I can tell you I've been successful picking good stuff because I leverage into people. And it's a great point you bring up because I talk about this in the book and I talk about this in life is invest with smart money. So when people invest in Alliance, well, we've been around for over 3 decades. We have 200 plus years of leadership team. We understand challenges. So when people say, well, how do you invest in gold and silver or crypto or this? I invest with smart money because the number one thing that everyone knows, the number one asset you have in life is time. So when you look at time and you look at how valuable your time is, are you going to go on a learning curve and learn about cryptocurrency or you're going to learn about oil and gas? I'm a commercial real estate expert. That's my expertise. So I want to maximize my time. And how do I maximize my time? I invest with smart money. It's why people in droves invest with Alliance because we're smart money when it comes to commercial real estate. And it's the same thing. So I mirror that behavior into other investment opportunities because I tell people in the blueprint, you only have so much time on this earth. Okay. And I'll tell you a great story that we do at my office at Alliance. We bring our leadership team and employees and we talk about this. And the average age a few years ago, life expectancy was about 77 years old. Now it could be greater now with technology and all this stuff with health-wise, what we're doing. And it should grow as well. But I'm 55 years old, Brian. So if you take 77 minus 55 times 52 weeks in a year, right? And we could do that math really quick. You're talking about 1,144 weeks I have left to live. Think about that. So I'm thinking, well, I have 1144. Now I have employees in their 20s. They got 4,000 weeks left. It's a different mindset with the decisions. So I think about who am I surrounding myself with? I think about what podcasts I'm going to go on. Where am I spending my time? How do I spend time with family, friends, employees, leadership team? So time is so important because when we talk about where you're going to invest, if you're going to go on a learning curve, you got to say to yourself, is that my main source of income? And so decisions are important. Resources are important. Those will help you make smart decisions when it comes to investing. That's what I suggest. But really understand your time and value your time, because spend your time doing the research on people that you're going to invest with. Spend the time doubling down on your niche and your focus. So for me, for Ben Reinberg, it's commercial real estate. That's where I double my time and invest. I'm not a technology expert, Brian, but I invest in technology. I invest with some great quality, talented people that make me money. And then I can look at other opportunities because I've been through that learning curve as a passive investor to redeploy capital into other opportunities. So that's what I suggest with people.
I'd like to take a moment to tell you about Green Property Management. Not only do they manage everything from single-family homes to apartment complexes in the West Michigan area, they also manage my entire portfolio. So I can tell you from personal experience that their unique flat fee management style is worth a closer look. If you feel that your property isn't operating to its fullest potential, then Green Property Management can help you take a holistic approach that will save you money, eliminate your headaches, and increase your net income. And if you're a property manager interested in applying Green Property Management's model, give them a call at 1-866-95-GREEN or visit them on the web at greenpropertymgt.com.
If you're thinking of leaving your W-2 job and becoming a full-time real estate investor, one of the greatest costs you must consider is healthcare for you and your family. When I made this transition myself, I found the whole healthcare insurance process to be confusing and frustrating. That's why I'm glad I met Chad Creasy at RCB and Associates. Chad is a professional health insurance agent who helps real estate investors and small business owners understand and choose their best healthcare options. And best of all, his services are covered by the insurance company and won't cost you a dime. If you live in Michigan and are expecting a change in your healthcare insurance coverage for any reason, or losing employer coverage or transitioning into Medicare, then you owe it to yourself to contact Chad Creasy at rcbassociatesllc.com. Ben, can you give us just a recent example of investment that your company has made in a hard asset and how you were able to negotiate it, get it financed in today's markets?
We're actually closing on a deal in Florida. And once we close, I'll talk more about it. And what I'm doing is I'm actually assuming a loan, which is great. So we're assuming a loan. It makes sense. It helps with the capital stack because the cost of capital is low. And so it made sense. The other thing we've done in 2024, what we did is we paid all cash for deals. And then we decide, okay, well, when rates drop, we'll put financing on it and we'll refinance it. And why did I do that? Well, number one, the key to commercial real estate and buying hard asset like that is certainty. One thing that I'm proud of, Brian, at Alliance is that we provide certainty in the market. When we put a deal under contract, it's very rare that we terminate it after due diligence or during due diligence. Something has to be drastically wrong or misrepresented for that to happen. And so when I go out to the seller community and I can provide certainty, well, guess what? It provides a great value and a great price on a property. So if I'm going to pay all cash and I don't have a financing contingency or banking on financing, Alliance is going to be able to close. And that's our track record. And so that's another way you can buy deals in this market. But I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's a tough market. It's tough. There's been a gap between the bid and the ask in this marketplace. Sellers think they can get the cap rates they had when interest rates were low. We're in a rising interest rate market right now. And so now they've kind of stabilized. But when you look at financing in commercial real estate, I mean, you're in the sevens for most of the deals. And so at the end of the day, that's what we're looking at. The other thing we did was, Brian, in 2024, and I saw this opportunity. I have a lot of colleagues of mine in multifamily, and they put short-term debt on deals they did in 20 and 21 that are coming due. And there's trillions of dollars of commercial real estate loans coming due in 25 and 26. And so we said, well, let's open a multifamily division. We hired a gentleman who's been in that industry for 25 years as an experienced veteran. He's running that division for us at Alliance. And we see incredible opportunities in multifamily. And so, multifamily has a big 10-year kind of lean on what the 10-year note is doing. But eventually that will come down and there'll be opportunities, and there's still buying opportunities still. People are still buying. And so we're in that. And then we're also doing hard money lending. We open up a division where that's going well. And we have the ability to lend money and provide liquidity because there's a lack of liquidity. And so people want to get projects done in commercial real estate. They just don't have the capital to execute. So we're big at providing certainty at Alliance. And that's what I'm doing to get deals done. But it's been a tough market. And again, but hard assets produce that cash flow you need to really move forward in tough times.
What kind of negotiation leverage does being able to pay all cash offer you? I mean, is that one of your superpowers that you're able to go in and pay all cash and not have to worry about the financing? And what other superpowers do you have when it comes to negotiation?
I have a lot of superpowers because when it comes to negotiation, I understand people and I am a good listener. And I understand the challenges that a seller has or a lender has. And communication equals wealth, especially in our business. And how you communicate and show up every day is important. It's why I'm so big into personal development, because I want to make sure I show up great to an interview like this or to add value to my staff or anyone resource around the country. And so for me, cash is king, especially in a tough liquidity market like we're in. However, it goes beyond that. It goes to providing certainty. It's to building rapport. It's to understanding the truth and what someone is saying to you on the other side of the table. And it's solving someone's problem. That's key to raising equity. That's key to doing deals. And it's building rapport. And so with our company, we pride ourselves in, and if we're going to tie up a property to buy, we want to make sure we're going to close. It's important to us. And so that's part of the magic formula, is doing what you say you're going to do. And so our brand is important to us. The reason why we have such a strong brand is because now we've been in the business, but we do what we say we're going to do. And we work hard. We work really hard in this business. And it's a lot of hard work. It's persistence and resilience and dependability. And that rubs off on the sales community to be able to negotiate a great deal, because if a property is $20 million and I can pick it up for 18.5 because I provide certainty and it achieves the seller's goals, because he's like, well, the three other offers have leverage they want to put on it, and I'm not sure that's going to happen. And so if I could step in and provide certainty, I'll get a better deal. And so that's what we do. So that's part of it. I mean, there's a lot of powers we have, but a lot of it is our core values, and our core values transfer into everything we do. So if you think of our core values at Alliance, you got transparency, integrity, consistency, and expertise. And when you think about those four values, right, that gives you huge power, because people feel comfortable and certain that they're going to make money from you. And that's why the resources gravitate to us, because they know they're going to get paid and they're going to make money with us. So we become a money magnet for the commercial real estate community.
I'm wondering what you see as being the cutthroat aspects of what we do and what you do specifically. And if you could give us some examples of some of the cutthroat techniques that you've seen out there that might help our listeners avoid them or be able to deal with them.
If you can look at employees. You're recruiting an employee. I'll give you a perfect example. And you like an employee, and we work hard and we give them an incredible offer that's more money than they're making. We give them a community that they don't have, because most people don't have the community that Alliance has. And what we do, we're a people initiative company. And they use you as a stalking horse. Same thing goes on in the brokerage community, where they'll use your offer as a stalking horse. And so that's some of the cutthroat things people do. And I've seen over the years, especially with the internet as prevalent, people don't value the relationships like it used to be. It used to be a handshake business, back of the napkin, shoe leather, go meet for a cup of coffee at a breakfast place. There was no Starbucks, and we would do deals. And your word meant something. And that napkin that you cut a deal on, I did a lot of deals on napkins, which this younger generation listening to the show couldn't imagine how Ben Reinberg's writing on a napkin about price and terms and signing it with the seller. And then you shake hands, and that was the deal. And everyone valued it. Well, those times are gone. And so it becomes cutthroat because there's a lot of people that want to get into commercial real estate. There's people that have tainted the business in certain respects. And it's also becomes cutthroat because you have a 1031 exchange market. So 1031 exchange buyer avoid taxes. They'll pay outside the real estate fundamentals on value just to avoid taxes. And they said, well, we'll just bank it. We'll save taxes and we'll get cash flow, but we need a lower yield. We don't care. And so it's a tough business. And so you're constantly competing. So what does that mean? You have to work hard. You have to look at a lot of deals to buy the deals you want. And you got to roll up your sleeves and grind. It's a grinding business. I mean, if anyone, that's why I said, like, once you get into it, for as long as I've been into it in our company, it becomes a lot easier. But it's not easy to start because you got to prove yourself, not only to the community, but have to constantly communicate yourself. The other reason it's cutthroat too is because the brokerage and sales community has amnesia. I could buy a deal from a brokerage company, save them the aggravation. They end up sending me Wagyu steaks to the office. I don't hear from them for months. Why, Brian? I'm closing deals. We have capital. We have a great name, great brand. So you deal with all of that. So there's no loyalty. So when there's lack of loyalty and integrity, it makes it a cutthroat business. And we see that a lot. And that's why people don't last in this business, because I say this a lot and I'm going to say it again so everyone can hear it. It's not for the faint of heart. I have people that work for me, outside resources, that say, I don't know how Ben does it. I don't know how he does this, how he's been able to do it, because I couldn't have the stomach to do what he does. When you're negotiating with a lender, you got a lot of money riding. You got staff, you got opportunity costs, you got overhead. And how do you continue on? And so you really have to work on yourself. Personal development and being the best version of yourself is so critical, especially in this business, I think in life, because how you communicate, how you show up, how you do. I'll give you an example. My multifamily guy division, he had a deal. It was best and final. He was probably the best offer. They gave it to another relationship they had. We don't know the exact answer. We were top price. So stuff happens. How do you deal with that? And so the conversation I have with him is you keep moving forward. You have enough in your pipeline that you have choices. That doesn't work out. It's not a big deal, Brian. It's okay. Life will work. Life will move on and progress. So the maturity and the development emotionally and controlling your emotions and being a good listener and seeking the truth in what other people say, these are little tidbits I've learned in my career that help you deal with the cutthroat nature of the business, the failures, however you want to define what failure means, which can be anything in life. Like, you don't get a deal. Is that failure? I don't know. You learn from it. What could we have done better? So I always take a failure or something that doesn't work out, and I use it as a learning tool for growth. So if you're always in a growth-minded state, in a flow state, in a love state, and not fear, and you want to be in abundance, then you can handle this business. But it's those little things. So when people always say, well, go back to when you were 23, when you got started, how would you change it? I would do personal development. Because if I can improve my communication, I can improve my whole world around me. Because how I show up in life is going to attract the people I want to do business with. And that's what I do. I attract good people. I have a close inner circle in this business. And I keep it that way because I want to thrive in this business.
Where would you advise people start if they're focusing on that mindset, that, the way they approach things and personal growth? Like, do you have any recommendations, books or places to start?
To keep your costs down, you can start with books. There's a lot of people that have written books. One of the things I talk about is getting a mentor and really getting into that is understanding. One thing I do is I meditate twice a day. That's part of my personal development and growth plan. I journal. I work out every day. So I always look to improve my mind and my balance and my emotions. And so if you can control your emotions, you can control a lot of things. And so you're going to be criticized as you grow in this business. You're going to be criticized by everyone that didn't have the guts or the stones to do what you do. Believe me, I love the criticism because it's just growth for me. And so people criticize me. People are jealous. People don't want to put the work in. Brian, I come in on a Saturday or Sunday if I need to. This past weekend, I knew I was traveling. I was in Saturday and Sunday just to get ahead and keep up, and because life's moving quickly, especially in this business and with my brands. And so in all the companies I'm with or sit on the board or invest in. So it's a lot of work. And so you have to put the time in. And so again, it goes back to, it's not for the faint of heart. Business is not for the faint of heart. But if you're committed to something like commercial real estate, like I am, or whatever it is in life, whoever's lifting out there, whatever is your profession or your love or your passion, what you put your energy in is that's where you're going to flow. And so focus and commitment is everything, especially in business. And so I tell people, focus on a niche. Like, don't spread yourself thin. Like, I heard a guy speak, I was at that. And the first thing he says, because his ego comes out, Brian, he says, I got 18 companies. How the hell do you manage 18 companies if you're in the weeds, which he was? How productive is that? He's not an expert. He's just he's got an expertise in different trades. It's hard to build wealth. So I tell people, focus on a niche. And if you want to build wealth, you invest with smart money, people that are focusing on their niche. Because that's how you, again, let's go back to your number one asset, time. And that's what's important.
Ben, how would people find out more about you or follow you?
The best way to follow me personally, Brian, is to go to benreinberg.com. And you can log on, you can follow me on all the social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, you name it, YouTube. You could also see on my personal brand page, my podcast, which is now a TV show. It's called Ben Reinberg, I Own It. First season was called Leverage. We talk about all different types of leverage throughout the world. We interviewed 13 guests in person from around the world. And then also season 2 is about to come out. It's called Obsessed. You need to be obsessed, wildly obsessed to be successful in life. So we talk about that and interview people. You'll see it streaming soon on a channel near you. And so that's a good way to keep in touch with me. And I am all about providing value, whether it's my TV show, my new book. You could pre-order at benreinberg.com/book. You can go on the benreinberg.com website, see that. If you want to invest with us, because we have a lot of passive investors that constantly come into our universe that want to invest and experience the Alliance way and the track record and the community that we build, go to alliancecgc.com. That's Alliance Charlie, George Charlie.com. You can click a button and invest now. It takes you 2 seconds to fill something out. Someone from my investor relations department will call you. And once in a while, you might get a mystery. Sometimes I get on the phone, which is cool. I love talking to investors. So we're here to help you build wealth. And if you're really interested in building wealth and generational wealth for you or you and your family, pick up a copy of the book. It was written for you. That's why I wrote it. It's not about me. It's about how can I help you do what I did and build a hard asset empire.
And the book, again, is Hard Assets, Hard Money for Hard Times?
Yeah, it's Hard Assets and Hard Money for Hard Times. It's a great read. It's something you always have for the test of time. I made it an evergreen type book that it would always be relevant to you and your family.
What's your favorite hack or app?
My favorite hack is I love AI. I love what it can do. I love the knowledge it provides. So that's one of my hacks. And I would say favorite app, I love social media now. I wasn't in it 3.5 years ago, and now I'm in it. And I have all these different social media apps like Instagram. And I love, like, if you go on my handle, which is @TheRealBenReinberg, which you could find on benreinberg.com. When you go on my Instagram, it's about adding value. So when you follow people that are in different industries that give great knowledge, it's great because you shorten your learning curve. And I love growth. I love shortening. I love understanding how people do sales and operations and people in different industries. How do they do it? And so I love those apps because just watching a reel kind of lets me reflect and think.
Ben, thanks so much for coming on the show today and sharing your experience, your wisdom, and talking about hard assets and hard times and the cutthroat mentality that you do find in this industry and your way of coping with it mentally and personal growth. It's been a real pleasure talking with you. And thanks so much for being on the show today.
Thanks, Brian. I really appreciate it. And thanks for having me.
I want to thank everybody for listening to this episode. I'm your host, Brian Hamrick from Hamrick Investment Group. And you can find out more about me by going to higinvestor.com. That's higinvestor.com. And you can also ask questions and join us on Facebook by going to RPOA Rental Property Property Owner and Real Estate Investor podcast. This episode was sponsored by Green Property Management, managing everything from single-family homes to apartment complexes in the West Michigan area. Find out more at greenpropertymgt.com. And RCB and Associates, helping real estate investors and small business owners navigate the complex world of health insurance and Medicare benefits at rcbassociatesllc.com.
You've been listening to the Rental Property Owner and Real Estate Investor podcast, brought to you by the Rental Property Owner Association. You can find out more at rpoaonline.org. If you enjoyed this podcast, please go to iTunes to subscribe, rate, and review.